When the weight of the world comes crashing on my shoulders, I keep pushing on, cause I know I'm getting closer. Just believe in me, and this is my dream. So take me or leave me, love me or hate me, but you ain't never gonna change me.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Live Skilled Television. I'm Joseph Ward, the founder and owner of Live Skilled, Live Fulfilled, which is a comprehensive life skills training and sexual and domestic violence prevention company. As you know, for the last couple of weeks, I've been giving you videos talking about the culture of rape, trying to do my part to help bring light to the issues that affect our communities, things that are known, things that are unknown. So kind of being able to shed light on things that for the most part are not talked about within our everyday conversations, or things that are seen as taboo to talk about. So I want to kind of be one of the people who's leading the charge, bringing light to these situations. So today, still talking about aspects of the culture of rape, but specifically today, I'm going to be talking about intra-familial sexual abuse. Intra-familial sexual abuse, or incest. So a more common term we can use is incest. But today I'll be using both terms, intra-familial sexual abuse as well as incest, when I'm going through my notes. And I have a couple notes that I gathered, so I want to do my best to bring light to these situations, to give you a couple statistics so we can start moving forward with active solutions to be able to solve this issue. So, intrafamilial sexual abuse is sexual abuse that occurs between two or more members of one family, whether it's known or unknown, and for the most part, it's an adult and a child. So it's the adult committing these acts on a child, or an older sibling versus a younger sibling. It's always the one who is labeled as or seen as the weaker one who is usually the victim. Now, even though the child or the victim suffers the most, all family members are affected by this intrafamilial sexual abuse in the forms of denial, anger, and lack of support for the victim. Because for intrafamilial sexual abuse to occur over a period of time, some people in that household have to be either totally in the dark or totally in denial. And for the most part, we found out a lot of people are in denial about what's going on in the home. And I know it's tough to actually just, we can't just barge in people's homes, but giving this information so we can kind of pay attention to certain signs and things. And just because a child has certain issues or acting out certain ways, not to just label that child as, a troublemaker, but actually take our time to assess everything that's going on with this child, ask questions, right? So, like I say, all family members are affected through forms of like denial, anger, and lack of support for the victim. Now remember, the child has less power than the adult, right? So the adults have more influence on other adults. Well, it may be, the gift of gab. Well, it may be that adult is an authority figure. Whether that adult handles the economics of the household, or that adult is physically imposing. The adult usually, or if it's not the adult, the perpetrator usually holds power over the victim, period. And so that's how someone becomes a victim in the first place, because the perpetrator has a means of gaining power over that victim. The child is often confused and taken advantage of, and that's something that we really need to understand. The victim, especially if it's a child, and depending on the age of the child, is taken advantage of. We're talking about mentally, physically, emotionally, physically. That child is taken advantage of, even economically sometimes, through means of fear and all these things. So an adult can say, well, this is what we're going to do, and if we don't do it, or if you tell, then I'll kill you, I'll kill your mother, I'll kill, things like that happen. So we have to be able to pay attention to certain signs that children are giving off, and not just react and label them as troublemakers, but open ourselves up to make it available, to make ourselves available so the child can talk to us, gaining trust with these children so they can actually talk to us and tell us what's going on. Because like I say, it's not like we have the ability to just barge in people's homes, but we can start to pay attention to the children that we come across on a daily basis. Now, this is the aspect of the child, of the familial sexual abuse, is the child could love the offender and develop a dependency for the person. And it depends on what role that person plays in the child's life. Like we're saying, confusion is going on, misinformation is going on, fear tactics, threats, all these things are going on. So the child could, in its confused state, develop a love or dependency for that person. And now remember, that child could have previously developed a dependency for that person based off of life circumstances. Let's say this person is the child's father or the mother, or the grandparent, but that's that child's guardian. So that dependency could already be there, and that love that the child could develop while these acts are going on is purely coming out of confusion. Secrecy and threats are used against the child, right? Like I alluded to it earlier. The perpetrator would tell the child that this has to stay a secret, or it must stay a secret. And if they think the child won't just keep it a secret, then that's when the threats will come in. Well, if you tell, this will happen, and if you tell, this will happen. So we're still talking about psychological games that the perpetrator is using against the child. This stuff is deep. This stuff is deep, so we have to be paying attention. We have to be constantly developing relationships with the ones that we claim we want to save and uplift. How are we developing these relationships with these people that we want to help? Children can react in many different ways to the familial sexual abuse. Some of those ways could be they can lash out, be a very angry person. They could be a recluse. They could be a social butterfly. They could be very sexually active. They can shut down sexually. They can just try to compartmentalize certain things, and it's many different ways a child can react to these sexual acts. So once again, us paying attention, us not just being so quick to label something as a problem, but paying attention to everything that's going on around these children and building relationships with anybody that we come into contact with, so we can have an open line of communication. Some children may understand what's going on, but may not know how to stop it. And I think that happens a lot when you're dealing with older children who are being molested by family members or assaulted by family members. They understand what's going on, but how do I stop it? And see, that's when a relationship, a proper relationship comes in. The child may feel safe or comfortable talking to me or you rather than another family member, because they trust us and they know that the judgment that we take will be able to help. All right, so let's get into some stats right now. Okay, 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 20 boys will experience sexual assault within their lifetimes. 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 20 boys will experience sexual assault within their lifetimes. 20% of adult females and 5 to 10% of adult males recall sexual abuse within their past. Once again, 20% of adult females and 5 to 10% of adult males can recall sexual abuse within their lifetimes. In 1 year, 16% of 14 to 17-year-olds have experienced sexual assault. In 1 year, 16% of 14 to 17-year-olds have experienced sexual assault. Sexual assault. 7 to 13. The age range between 7 and 13 is said to be the most vulnerable for children to experience sexual assault. 3 out of 4 children who experience sexual assault are assaulted by someone they know. Once again, 3 out of 4 children who experience sexual assault are assaulted by someone they already know. Children who experience prolonged sexual assault develop low self-esteem, worthlessness, distorted sexual views. They're withdrawn from society. They mistrust adults, and they become suicidal. Child sexual abuse also includes non-contact abuse, such as voyeurism and child porn. So all of these aspects need to be taken into consideration when we're dealing with our children, especially. But especially when we are combating sexual assault. It's a broad subject, sexual assault. It's a broad subject. And there are a lot of people out here who are working. And remember, we should all work together. Everyone has their different path within the realm of sexual assault. And we should do that. But remember, we should all work together. But one of the main things I want to do is to be able to bring light to as many different topics and situations as possible. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something. And please, please, please share this video with as many people as possible, because we need to get this information out. Remember, you can get more information at www.liveskilledtraining.com. Follow me on Twitter at Live Skilled, and I'm on Facebook at Live Skilled, Live Fulfilled. So peace out. See you next time.
When the weight of the world comes crashing on my shoulders, I keep pushing on, 'cause I know I'm getting closer. And I just believe in me, and this is my dream. So take me or leave me, love me or hate me, but you ain't never gonna change me.
Episode